Yo, 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 what's up? It's your boy Pilla. I know I've been gone for a while. My birthday was March 16th. And as you can see, I wasn't really able to do anything because this virus. But I'm not mad. I think life goes in cycles. And I think it was very important for me to come out and talk from a person from Chicago, or even a person who's a historian that studies a lot of history that includes medical situations. So I felt like I need to come back and holler at the people because I love y'all. Somebody reached out to me from Cali. One of my last broadcasts. So I've been really just studying. Getting people insight about what they feel, what's going on here. And yesterday I saw that the mayor in Pritzker came out and was saying that they're upset that people were on the lakefront in other areas still congregating. So to get through this, we probably need to listen to them a little bit more. I don't think it's anything to panic about. I think right now should be a time that you should be not only studying but studying self more. Especially if you study world history, because is that out here every time you look up article, someone got this so-called virus. No one's really pushing articles about the healing process. And also, before I begin this uh, podcast, I would like to recommend some things you might want to do during this time, or take during this time naturally. First thing you want to do is sit in the sun. The sun boosts your immune system. It feels very good. You see they're using vitamin C, which is orange, lemons and limes. I take sea moss all the time. I was taking sea moss to deal with some of my tendons, but even as I was dealing with that, the sea moss, as I looked up, I never even had a cold or running mucus at all during the whole time. I never even used sea moss for that, so I would definitely recommend that. Elderberry, ginger, turmeric. These are things that help fight these symptoms of this virus. And I wanted to come in today because, like I said, I done watched a lot of videos, people talking about what it is, and some stuff was surprising. Now I ain't gonna say surprising because I'm a person that listens to. I'm a good listener, but you definitely hear that it seems to be something more going on during this virus, and I would just tell you to study. I'm not going to really get too much into this podcast about that because something you should go find yourself. But I definitely seems to be some type of background to this virus if you were to check other people platforms. So I'm not throwing it out the window because I know this is a colonial government. But what I did want to kind of talk about today was black people, your response in these medical pandemics. As you know, I study a lot of history, and it's not the first time. Even we talk about like the bubonic plague, which they say it started in China from dead corpses. Yes, the bubonic plague started in China, or said was started in China from dead corpses, according to Ibn Khaldun, a historical Moorish writer that they tried to just make sense he's Arab, light-skinned Arab during that time. And also with previous black people, I know we African Moors and all that, but I'm just saying black people for the language of the people. Even Israelite, we all like original people of the planet. I think it's a time for you to study your medical history, because all medical books pre-slavery and colonization said our ancestors mastered medicine and surgery. We all hear about Imhotep. His mother taught him. So he came from a family of doctors. So he really wasn't the first, but he's one of the first noted that we have like information on. We do know that the ancient Greeks always acknowledged ancient Kemet, Africa, black people as the epitome of surgeons and science. And today I wanted to kind of touch on some of that too, because sometimes I think in school, black people, you're not even taught, about your medical history. Because matter of fact, even if you look at, I was thinking yesterday as I was posting how they were showing how the eye of Haru, what they call Horus, you know what I'm saying, Haru from ancient Egypt, which where the word hero comes from, what they call Horus, his eye is really the RX symbol on medicine bottles. and it's the foundation of medicine. But the thing that I connected that to was how some people believe Heru is Jesus the healer, and that how I forgot my other train of thought, but how Heru is Jesus the healer, and how he's the medicine bottle, and how Jesus fled to Egypt when he was first born. He was a healer, but Egypt was the foundation of medicine. We know Ethiopia was Egypt parent, but we know Egypt has a lot of documentation of being so far advanced in medicine, that, to me, I always say, if you don't know your history, black people, because if I go to museums, everybody see me in museums looking at your statues, but I'm pretty sure that they looking at you weird. They like, hey, we're looking at you to solve the problem, but as usual, black people in America are relying on Democrats to solve the problem, or maybe Republicans, but definitely black people are relying on Democrats, majority of them. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a Moorish American, or original man of the planet. I'm from the ancient Kushite Empire, and if you want to know more about that, you can cop Drusilla Dungy Houston's book, The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire. So you can find out my background. I come from a global empire. I don't come from a state or a country. You know what I'm saying? My ancestors ruled the world. And if you understand that history, hey, we're waiting for you to come back to our global empire. All right? I just wanted to touch on some things. I'm like, I'm never afraid that there is some type of epidemic going on. Because like I say, we know the bubonic plague and all that. But I think it's also privy for black people to know that you need to be kind of at the forefront of some of these situations, because too many times you're relying on a medical apartheid, okay? Everybody knows, I would never go to St. Bernard Hospital in Inglewood and expect to get greater treatment than I probably could get from my grandma. No disrespect to the people in there, but we do know if our schools have been closed, no grocery stores, not for the food, we think these hospitals around here are the top notch. So I'm a person that does a lot of research into horrible situations or medical history. And just because anybody want to play the role act racist, I would like to study a couple of things that Europeans, oldest writers have said about black people when it comes to medicine and surgery. Okay, and here I have a quote from one of the oldest books in Europe by a guy named Homer, The Odyssey, written in 800 BC. It's Homer the Odyssey, 800 BC, and he states, in ancient Egypt, the men are more skilled in medicine than any of humankind. The Egyptians were skilled in medicine more than any art. Now, look at that. So what does that tell you? More than anything, you knew medicine, which means you knew the body. But as you can see, that's not even being taught to you in school. You know what I'm saying? You're being taught that you were always a slave. And so, that's why I'm coming out today and kind of, bring some light to some of these things that you're not being told about in school. You know what I'm saying? You've been being taught, oh, go to this guy in this hospital. They have all the knowledge, and it's not true. Because we do know, even doing slavery, the slave master would go to Big Mama and get the medicine too, okay? And now, even we go to, if people say, oh, it's Hotep, and it's so funny. People say, Hotep this, and I've been laughing because at the foundation of medicine and surgery is the word Hotep, particularly a guy named Imhotep. And it's all, and for black people to make fun of the word Hotep and during times like this, other than studying the medical history with that name connected to medicine and surgery, just shows you're still a mental slave. And I can't feel sorry for you, because you should be studying now. But even somebody say, oh, you're, Hotep, Afrocentric. Okay, well, let's go once again to the oldest Greek medicine man, the father of Greek medicine. And then we go to his guy. This guy's name was Hippocrates. He's named the father of Western medicine. And he has something called a Hippocratic Oath, which mainly all doctors, physicians, and nurses are supposed to take. They modernized it so you wouldn't really catch on to everybody take an oath to ancient Africa for medicine. And we have it right here where this guy, Hippocrates, says, I swear by Apollo the physician and Aesculapius the surgeon that I will observe and keep this underwritten oath to the utmost of my power and judgment. I will reverence my master who taught me the art. Now let's break that down for those who really don't know history. Sometimes they have misconstrued language so much that you can't really comprehend. You hear Apilapius, Apollo. You might think Apollo is from Rocky movie or something, right? Or Apollo 13. But Apollo was actually Haru. Haru is who they start calling Horus, is where the word owls even come from, right? But Haru, Apollo, is also what people believe Jesus is. You know what I'm saying? So, which is so, and Jesus was called the healer, right? So, and then when he says Esculapius, he said, I swear by Apollo the physician, who was Haru, the African, or African symbology or mythology. We know go back to Africa. And he says, and I swear by Esculapius the surgeon. Now, most blacks educated in Western school wouldn't even hear the word Esculapius. Or if they hear it, they just go right past it, right? Esculapius was the guy Imhotep, the African Imhotep, who these Europeans, Euro Greeks, we do know African people really found the Greeks, right? These Euro Greeks used to worship this man as a god of medicine. Yes, black people, they will admit that they worship you as the god of medicine, as they're out here talking about giving you syphilis and all that. And like I said, it's not a run against Europeans and racists, but it's enough where you have to, it's enough racism and enough misinformation where you need to speak up, because people out here thinking that it's not a game being played. So that's all I'm gonna leave it at that. It's not a game being played with your mind. You know what I'm saying? So let me find another one. Just I want you to be privy on the fact that you have an ancient history in medicine. Even when I was talking to people, I said, "Hey, anybody heard of the guy Averroes Ibn Rashad, the African who was the top guy, during history? No one heard of him." But I got another quote for you too from Europe. These are from Europeans. This is a guy named Roger Highfield. He wrote an article called "How Imhotep Gave Us Medicine," and he is quoted as saying, "The medical history books will have to be revised. The ancient Egyptians, not the ancient Greeks, were the true fathers of medicine." So once again, you have Europeans admitting, "Oh man, Africa was the pioneer of medicine." You know what I'm saying? But you won't really have you won't even hear this in media. They're gonna make everybody's a physician now, because why? They know you brainwashed. You see, they told that your history started with slavery, and if your history started with slavery, guess what? That didn't include teaching you about your history pre-slavery and colonization in medicine. Okay? And so I want to just share some more information for future generations. You feel me? Because, it's a lot of misinformation going on. And then we have a guy, because one time I was in school, right, and the teacher gave me an assignment, and she had an author named Jacob Burckhardt, and he wrote the book called The Greek and Greek Civilization. And in the book, he was talking about some of Plato, but the teacher didn't know that I had already read Plato. Because I'm going to do a podcast in the future about this whole Greek thing, this whole medieval Renaissance Europe thing about so-called Arab, us Moors, bringing them back to Greek philosophy, which is all erroneous. Because if you read Greek philosophy, these people openly admit who they learn from. So, but that's why you have to control your own schools, because when they control your mind, they can write anything in history and you believe it's real. So most people, like my man Taj Tariq Bey, say, don't even know how to read. And I understand what he means, because there are so many languages piled up in each other when just one paragraph that you may not know that Berber, Moor, Gypsy are all the same people. That's why Tyson Fury talking about he Gypsy King. No, ancient Egypt is in Africa, brother. And he's saying that he's Irish, like I talked about today. Ireland and Scotland admit the connections to ancient Egypt. Matter of fact, most of the people in Ireland and Scotland were really black people, so-called blackamoors. Okay, so I'm gonna keep on going, because I think that this stuff has to be brought up to the truth, because I'm not never saying that it's a pandemic out here, but when you kind of know more of yourself, you're kind of more proactive, right? And so I'm going to, here go, Burckhardt says, now you never see this in school, so I'm going to give it to you raw and uncut. Page 135 of his book, The Greek and Greek Civilization. He says, in evaluating Different civilizations, we tend nowadays to think of term of progress and inventions, a method of accounting by which the Greek come off very badly. The Egyptians had been an industrious people thousands of years earlier and had one of the most remarkable achievements to their credit in technology, engineering, and chemistry before the Greeks, ever started on their barefaced borrowing and stealing. Okay, now let's break that down. What he's saying is these people, much we love the Greeks, no disrespect to the Greeks, these people are Johnny come latelys. If you have 1,000 years of pioneering in chemistry, technology, engineering, all this has to do with the medical field. Chemistry alone is what medicine is made off of when people kind of put plants together. Because we know the chemistry mineral table has like gold, silver, copper, but you can get all that stuff from plants too. As Dr. Sebi taught, I forgot the word, where a plant absorbs the minerals and you consume that plant. And so it's like, as these times are going on, I don't see any so-called black African people, which we all know are kind of, talking about this medical history. They don't even talk about the books that were already written on these things, because there was a mass book burning and book stealing by the colonizers. I just read the other day in the story of the Moors by Stanley Lane Poole. Zamanists had a major book burn and stole some of the books. But let me find some more medical history, because this stuff you won't be taught in school, black people. Even when you see somebody wear a white jacket, that's ancient African, ancient Moorish stuff. In hospitals, we wore the white jackets. But you won't be taught this. That's why I'm coming out now, trying to bring some truth to the light. Okay, so I got another quote. This quote is from, once again, Homer, the Odyssey. Okay, and this is translated by A.T. Murray, page 229 and between 232. And Homer is, quote, Homer, one of the oldest, if not the oldest European writer, is quoted as saying, "For there in Kemet, ancient Egypt, the earth, the giver of grain and bearers of the greatest stores of drugs, many that are healing when mixed, and many that are baneful, there every man is a physician, wise above humankind." Now, black people, let me read that again for you, black people, because I don't think you heard what I just said. The oldest European writer said about you when it came to medicine. It's like, I guarantee you won't get this in your school. You won't get this at Harvard. You won't get this at your HBCUs, really. You ain't gonna get it here. Jay Pillar Bay Show, in Chicago. And shout out to my people doing their thing. My Black Chicago Museum, trying to get at them. Other companies, other people I mess with, the Southern Museum. But you get this here. Listen, let me read that for you again, black people. This is written by Homer, the Odyssey, oldest book in Europe. Page 229, 232, translated by a guy named A.T. Murray in 1924. It states once again, Homer said, "For there in Kemet, ancient Egypt, the earth, the giver of grain, bears the greatest stores of drugs. Many that are healing were mixed, and many that are baneful. There every man is a physician, wise above humankind." Now, let's put that together. If you were taught your history was started with slavery, how could you be your ancestors where they said that your ancestors were wise above anybody in humankind when it came to medicine and healing people? That's what this Democrat machine has done to you. And I'm not with Republicans, they demons too. But you depended on these people so much that you forgot who you were. That's why it's a laughing joke, because whatever you look at, the answers are already inside of you. But I think it's important for future generations to hear this stuff, to know that there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And you need to study yourself. Okay, so I want to go to another one. I will post these pics and these quotes for those who like to use them in the future for educational reasons. Or, if you feel confident that maybe you found some things that can help people out, you can go forward without feeling ashamed someone calling you Hotep. Because you can see Hotep is the foundation of medicine. Okay? Hotep in Egypt, Kemet, Africa, the foundation of medicine and surgery. And we didn't even got into Moorish Spain, where Averroes talked about the chicken pox. The man solved the chicken pox in the 1100s AD. Averroes, the African, who they call Ibn Bashar, who they have whitewashed his history. But I'd like to go to another quote by an author named Marco Rossi. He has a book called Homer and Herodotus to Egyptian Medicine. He states, Egyptian medicine is the base of Greek medicine. Kemetic people and their medical knowledge are often mentioned in the Iliad and the Odyssey of Homer. Section BCE. Now, Iliad and the Odyssey of Homer, according to Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, all other great teachers, are the oldest European books. So here they are saying that their medical knowledge came from Africa and how it's often mentioned in their oldest books. It goes on to state, many Greek doctors such as Asclepius, who was Imhotep, who was an African. So most likely Asclepius might even be African, but we know Asclepius is an African, who they just hit Imhotep, as well as Hippocrates visited Egypt to study and understand medicine. So let's read that again for you, because I gotta read for you to open your third eye and know that you are the answer to the problem that you're looking for. You're looking at, all right. Egyptian medicine is the base of Greek medicine. Kemetic people and their medical knowledge are often mentioned in the Iliad and the Odyssey of Homer, the BCE era. Many Greek doctors, such as Asclepius, who was an African, who they learned from really, as well as Hippocrates, visited Egypt to study and understand medicine. Now, as this is going on, is anyone coming to talk to you about your history in medicine, black people, who they enslaved? Most likely, they never taught you this because you're still their property. So as I talk about this, make sure you claim your nationality to have a standing in law, all right? That way you can practice your indigenous culture, because the rights of indigenous people give you that right to do your cultural stuff when it comes to medicinal practices. But you got to read. Cut the TV off. Everyone's these big. I done watch sports my whole life. Every week, every day, my whole life revolved around sports. I got a little broke. It took my money wasn't coming in, so I watched 3-hour games my whole Sunday, watching all these football games. I realized it was a responsibility for me to give my history and culture the same time I gave them sports. So as you watch 3-hour sports game, I'm watching 3-hour lecture about history, medicine, and culture. That's the difference between us. And guess what? I can still hoop you on a basketball court. I can still analyze the sports football game better than you can. All right? Because after I get done, I can get back to my sports after I get done with this. But if I love my community, I'm going to come up and I'm going to speak up. And I challenge more people to do that, to know this stuff. Okay? So I'm going to go to another one, because sometimes, you talk this stuff and, I went to school and, and people act like they went to these European schools that they so-called doctors. You're not, because Europeans, we'll get into that later about the medicine thing, where they got the medicine from. But here goes another quote about Africans, black people, Moorish people, Israelite people, and dealing with medicine in the ancient times. This is written by a European, I believe, named Margaret A. Murray. It's called The Splendor That Was Egypt. She is quoted as saying on page XVI, in Egypt are found the first beginnings of material cultural building, agriculture, horticulture, clothing, even cooking as an art, the beginnings of the sciences, physics, astronomy, medicine, engineering, the beginnings of the imponderable laws, government, religion, and every speck of life. Egypt has influenced Europe, and through the centuries may have modified the custom or idea. The origin is clearly visible. Now let's break this down, because it's important for you. This is really for future generations, because like I say, now in times we even dealing with the miseducation of the Negro in 2020. Negroes fighting the Republicans and Democrats, and either one gives a damn about you, okay? But as far as education and true enlightenment, I'm here for you, my people, because I love you. So let's break this down. He said, in Kemet, Africa, are the first beginnings of material culture, culture building, agriculture, horticulture, clothing, even cooking as an art. See what I'm saying? And beginnings of science, physics, astronomy, and medicine. So where's all the information at? If they are the beginners of medicine, surgery, black people, has anybody ever showed you a book about you being at the foundation of medicine and surgery? Has anybody ever told you that you were at the foundation of medicine and surgery? I bet you $100 they never did. They want you to rely on Doogie Howser, the TV show guy. Which basically they want you to go to white people, or my fault, Europeans, for medical things. But I guarantee you, if you were to trace the books that the Europeans are using from Latin to Arabic to English and Africa, it was you. They're studying you. Okay? They're studying stuff that they took from you, put you in these plantations, brainwashed you, and you came out forgetting everything. Because even with the bubonic plague, you had Moors talking about Carthagins. You get what I'm saying? Carthagins. And the sad reality is, they're gonna tell you this stuff is new. And I don't blame them. I blame you, black people, because now you sitting at home, you have time to study your cultural history and medicine, but you can't do that. You talking too much about sports and love and hip hop and all that. Hey, each his own. That's not my fault, but don't come to me talking about what you talking about. Hey, I'm cool and I'm intelligent and I'm in shape. I don't gotta fit in. I am the trend. You get what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about what they think about me. Cause I feel I'm a leader and I'm a teammate. I don't gotta sacrifice my integrity to fit in with nobody. I come from a huge ass family, okay? But I do love my people. And shout out to New Era Chicago, my man Taj and them, Erica Burden, Eric Mobley. Them guys definitely put in work. They're like superheroes in Chicago too. So let me make sure I mention them because every day, Erica Burden, Taji Gaines, Eric Mobley, shout out to that guy Ronnie Hatcher, Ronnie Hatcher. I mentioned them, but these guys put in work in the community. You know what I'm saying? They might not know all information, but their heart is so 100% in it, and I appreciate them so much, more than I ever realized. Okay, but let me go keep digging because the truth has to be put out. Okay, I know I won't ever send my people off. Okay. Okay, and so let's see. Because I say is this guy named Ibn? Because during the medieval ages, first of all, let me who are Moors, man, you dominated the medieval ages when it came to medicine. Even though you did in ancient times, you kept it up. Because the whole thing about them saying, "Oh, you rediscovered the Greeks," like I said, I read the Greek stuff, Plato, Aristotle, and if you want me to, I will read you what they said. They said they learned from Africans. We will get to that another podcast, to really open the light up, okay? But I want to read this stuff by this guy named Ibn Khattab, because you'll never hear about this other brother. Now they're gonna make, oh, this is just Arab, because they know the importance of you realizing this, and so what's not known is that even during the Black Plague, right? They were saying that some reason it didn't even hit Moorish Spain. Okay, and this is written by a guy named William B. Ober, MD, and Nabal Arlouche, MD, the Department of Laboratories, Hannasek Medical Center, Hannasek, New Jersey. It's called The Plague at Granada, 1348 through 1349, Ibn al-Khatib and Ideas of Contagion. Now look at that. So they already saying that we knew about contagious stuff. And so the author goes on, I'm going to read it early, and I'm going to get to the fat of it, okay? But he starts off by saying, historical relations between the cause and effect can be difficult to ascertain, especially when an event identified as a single effective cause produces a variable effect. The Black Death of 1348 and 1349 devastated Western Europe. Most authorities concur that the Black Death was the death knell of Siena as an important city, but Florence survived to flourish again. Now remember, this is still more Spain time, 1492 and all that, right? Mute testimony of Sierra's decline are the remains of the walls of the unfinished enlargement of its cathedral. Bare room choirs were late the sweet birds sang. Yet the same epidemic of the bubonic plague struck Granadas a few weeks later, and the Moors were able to complete the Alhambra during the reign of Muhammad V, 1354 to 1359 and 1362 to 1391. We lack information upon which calculate the mortality rate at Granada. Many records were destroyed with Ferdinand and Isabella ousted the Moors in 1492. After their hemorrhage of 2.5 centuries, we ruled there for even before Hannibal. They found Taharka stuff in Spain. So this is how Europeans write, because they can't let you know everything. They're gonna like Dr. Shaji McIntyre said, they're gonna give you truth with some lies. See, that's why it's so important for you to just study. Because this is it. Those like the scriptures say, those who put the work in will be rewarded. And so it says, only a few Moorish manuscripts, that's Islamic Moorish manuscripts survived, and by the end of the 15th century, most of them were in the library of King Philip. It says ultra-Christian Spain had little interest in Moorish culture, and not until 1863 did M.J. Muller, a German scholar, bring Ibn al-Khatib's manuscript on bubonic plague to notice of the scholarly world. But Muller card went unheard, possibly because he issued it a meeting of philosophy and philology section at the World Bravant Academy of Science. At the time of Pasteur's theory that germs cause disease was still unsettled. It was only a few years before Koch announced his postulate. It was the dawn of modern era in bacteriology. Investigation of epidemics and how diseases spread were a major concern of the medical sciences the world over, but their eyes were on the new discoveries of the present, not the past. The notion that a 14th century Moorish statesman, physician, poet could tell them anything of value was, to put it kindly, information that they did not want to hear. Even today, Ibn al-Khatib ideas, who you never heard about this man, have you? I was about to say Europe, they know about this guy, but this is a Moorish black brother, okay? Ideas are only known to a few scholars in medieval Moorish culture. Now, the speller's name is IBN space AL-KHATIB. Now, Google this man history. Okay, so let's find some more interest. I want you to hear what this guy had to say. Okay, so now now it says, Ibn Khattab was a polymath, and for his time and place distinguished many branches of learning, and he wrote on history, philosophy, mysticism, and medicine, as well as a considerable amount of poetry. His monograph, Al-Ahata fi Turiki Nata, is a valuable source of early history and topography of Granada. Now look at this is what I'm saying. These books, black people, you haven't even heard of this book before, written by you before you were enslaved in colonization, about the topography of Spain. And his Dijasha al-Tawasa is considered a fine analogy of poetry. Or even greater importance is his treatise on the bubonic plague, Munak al-Asa al-Marada al-Aha. Excuse my pronouncing these words, because I'm not fluent in Arabic, but and this is now I post this stuff for you to see yourself. Probably written between 1359 and 1362 during his exile in Morocco. It was certainly written after 1352 because it mentions Ibn Battuta account of the plague in the Middle East, written after the seventh visit to Granada. Now remember, Granada is still controlled by the Moors at this time, right? So Greek and Roman medical writers had explained epidemics of infectious disease by the concept of Bathsheba, Noxy, pollution, atmosphere. Now remember, Greek and Roman medical writers. I just read an article the other day about how the Greeks were still, not the Greeks, but we know the Greek worship Kemet. They meant in all their writings. So even and they, I said earlier, they worship the African Imhotep as the god of medicine. Rome, I just read an article. They were worshiping Isis most of their time as they were killing Christians, and it's so crazy because ISIS and Jesus' mother is the same person. So it's just so crazy. So when they talk about medical doctors, we still talking about Kemet, ancient Africa. Greek and Roman medical doctors had explained epidemics of infectious diseases by the concept of malaria, nausea, pollution of the atmosphere, the etymology of malaria. Look, malaria all around. Look at that. Viral may have been present during the first century, and when Don Roscoe, he considered that placement of a country house should be taken into account. Okay, now let's go into his words itself. Okay, now this is Ibn Khaldun, written in 1300s. This is a black man writing about how disease can be passed on to each person by touching them before anybody in Europe even understood this concept. This is why it's so important for you to, like Arthur Schomburg says, dig up your past to create your future. Because all this medical information is in your DNA, really, black people. But you need to go find your ancestors' books and what they write about all these viruses and diseases. Okay, before you were enslaved and colonized, before we lost Grenada. And so Khaldun, this is words you never hear. This is a black man, a Moorish man, speaking about medicine in the 1300s that you would never hear about. He states, it becomes clear to anyone who is diagnosed or treated the disease that most of the individuals who have had contact with a plague victim will die, whereas the man who has no exposure will remain healthy. A garment or vessel may carry infection into a house. Even an earring can prove fatal to the man who has put it in his ear. The disease can make its first appearance in a single house of a given town, then spread that focus to other persons, neighbors, relatives, visitors. The disease can break out in a coastal town that had been free of disease until a plague victim landed there. Coming across the sea from a town where the plague is raging, the date at which the plague appears in the town coincides with, i.e., occurs or a few days after the debarkation of this carrier. Many people remained in good health who kept themselves in isolation from the world outside. For example, the pious Ibn Abi Madina in Saleh, he believed in Carthage. Therefore, he laid by a store of provisions and bricked up his house, sequestering his large family. The town was severely stricken, but no one in his household took ill. There are many accounts of communities remote from highways and commerce that remain unscathed. There's also remarkable example of the prisoners in the arsenal at Seville who were unaffected even though the city itself was hit hard. Now, you're still talking about Moorish Spain now, right? Other reporters tell us that the inerrant nomads who live in the tents of North Africa remain free of disease because the air is not shut in and the corruption from it is only mildly infectious. Now, that was beautiful. Now, you see how he even knew then that the weather, how you can look now and this virus is in Africa, but it's not as deadly as some of these other colder areas. So he already saying, hey, enclosed areas heighten this disease. And like I say, these are things that you need to know so you can build on what you're dealing with today. I'm not trying to minimize anybody. You get what I'm saying? It's like, I'm just saying, maybe you want to study a little bit more who you are, okay? I'm going to say one more thing, because like I said, even when we talk about alkaline, the word alky is an Arabic word that the Moors introduced to Europe. So even when we talk about like Dr. Sebi and all that, this is and Dr. Sebi, if you look at some of his things, he talks about how these medicines have Moorish backgrounds that he was using. Okay, like the darkest honey is called like Morocco or something like that. So now the TV, this guy was intelligent. He knew that alkaline was some ancient uh, African stuff. Okay. Now I just want to go to one last thing before I finish with my cast. This guy named Averroes. Averroes is spelled Averroes. Like I said, Averroes. This is a black African guy. That you, all the pictures you see of this guy, he's whitewashed. But this guy was like the most profound thinker of his time. Cause I don't even, people, I say he's profound, like a W. Du Bois, Sheikh Anta Diop guy. And so someone wrote about him yesterday when they said, not yesterday, I'm sorry, I read yesterday. It says, this is from a European. He said, in medicine, Ibn Rashad, his name is spelled Ibnrushd, and they call him Averroes. He's a Moor. He was born in 1126 to 11 AD, was focused on anatomy, and in particular, blood circulation in humans, along with diagnosis of certain diseases and proposals of remedies. In his books, he explained that chickenpox is a disease that can only take each person only once in a lifetime. A fact that modern science subsequently proved. He also excelled in anatomy. Among his famous science books is Al-Collides Fail Type, the General Book of Medicine. Now, have you ever heard of this book? Here, this man is a pioneer in medicine, a black guy, a Moorish guy, African guy. He has a book called The General Book of Medicine, and you never even heard of this. You know why? Because you were taught that your history started with slavery. Now, to delve even deeper into this, because that's why I said the answers are already in your face. Here you have in 1100s a guy understanding chickenpox and how it reacts to the human body. And I think this is so important for black people or even the indigenous community, because we always talk, Europeans came and just gave the natives, which are black people, smallpox and killed off the indigenous people. But we know from studying that the word Indian and Moor are synonymous. So here you have Moor, Averroes, who could also be called an Indian according to these generic terms, who already figured out you're going to get chickenpox once. Already knew about the earth and all that, right? So that's why you have to start. That's why it's so important to study, because you start to break down the lies. It's a lot of lies going on out here, okay? And so, like I said, I can go on hours and hours about this, African Moorish, black history in medicine and medical field. And I say it because don't always depend on your oppressor to give you the answers. Give the children a chance. Quit thinking because you watch on TV, all this medical stuff. It's not real. It's not real. You know what's real? Studying is real. Studying is real. That's it. I use coconut oil. I use it for earaches. I use it for viruses. I use it to kill bacteria. A plant. Not no man-made, a plant. And so my main thing about this podcast is just say, I need black people to, first of all, calm down. Study yourself. You call somebody a hotep, you look crazy as hell, because the word hotep is at the foundation of medicine. The word hotep is the word Esculapius, according to the Greeks, who worship hotep as the god of medicine. And when you go out there and you try to make fun of black people, you're hoteping, a European is laughing at you because he's going to study hotep. He's not laughing at you, he's laughing at you because he knows you're still enslaved. That's why they don't talk to me like that, because I can go into the cave literature. I will go into cave literature, but I'm not trying to get into that right now. I'm talking about medical, because this is going to help black people. It can help these Europeans too, who have been miseducated about world history. And so I just want to let people know, this is just a tip of an iceberg of how I can go deep into this medical history dealing with black people before slavery and colonization and miseducation. And I would, challenge you to go find your ancestors' medical books. Translate them into stuff that kids for their future generations can benefit from. Because right now, you're depending on Doogie Howser. The doctor said this and that. What's the endo, doc? I don't want to say these long ass medical pure words. Okay, I'd say get a coconut, get a sea moss, um, lemons and limes, oranges, vitamin C, and I would just say study. You know, the world has changed before. It's might change again, but I don't believe anything's a coincidence. I definitely think nature is talking to us, saying just come visit me again. You know, I love nature. I put yesterday. I had my feet in the dirt, my feet, my toes, no socks on in the dirt, sitting in the sun. I sat in the sun about a good half an hour. It felt great, man. Boost my immune system. So, like I said, I'm never trying to diminish anybody's medical practice because you can learn some good things in school when dealing with medicine, but we do know that the medical thing is I'm sorry, the pharmacy, the medical thing is a farm. I mean, the pharmacy is a corporation. Excuse my language. So it's like it's a business. So I don't want to get too much into things that make them feel like, oh, you know, this guy's disrespecting anybody. But like I say, black people study yourselves, and Europeans study black people. No, study black people history and medicine. If you're an honest, non-racist European that knows you have a nationality. Study the history of black people in medicine and study how, you know, and that doesn't mean, oh, I'm better than you. Just, hey, you want the truth for what? You know, sometimes people take, oh, when we talk about how black people brought soap into Europe, people take that as an offense. Oh, it's racist. No, what it means, it's a lack of study. You're not studying. Because Europeans, they self even admit this. And why do they have to admit it? Because even though we brought them soap, one of the reasons they wasn't washing up with soap because their government had made it a sin to wash it with soap. That's why sometimes when you read books about us Moors invading Spain, a lot of authors will tell you that the Europeans or the Europeans, they really didn't have a big problem because the Visigoths was oppressing them. So when we invaded, we basically brought everything up. We brought them out their dark ages, but we was already enlightened. And so like I say, in these times, the miseducation, if you want to feel like what I'm saying is something defensive, live in the dark, live in slavery. But for anybody that's willing to research, study for themselves, find some answers to things that you're dealing with today, search. You know, man, know thyself. Woman, know thyself. You know, like I say, it's ancient. It's an ancient history in medicine. I always say to my people, black people, African people globally, higher education is not a subject for us. Medicine is not a subject for us. This is our culture. This is stuff we was doing every day. You know, even when you study history of medicine, you'll find that we use music to heal people, whether it's in ancient Kemet or Spain. We played musical instruments to clear people's bodies, their lungs and everything. This is written, documented. People know this stuff, but you'll never be taught that, black people. So especially Chicago, like I'm from Inglewood, you know, over there by where the old Robeson High School was at. And I'm telling you, it really just shocked me when one day I went into University of Chicago on 58th and like around Cottage Grove into the Art Institute Museum, and you just see all these statues of black people all over the world. You got 16-foot statue of King Tut, black people in the Sumerians, black people in Israel, showing how we create the languages, black people in Kemet, Nubia with gold. And when I go in there, I don't see no black people really but me. It's more white people. I mean, sorry, Europeans and what's more Euro-Asians than anybody. And so, like I said, I felt it was a need for me to speak out today about black people study your medical history. I just showed you how a guy named a Moor named Ibn Khattab knew about Carthagins. I just showed you how Ibn Rashad Averroes knew that you want to catch chickenpox one time in the 1100s. You know what I'm saying? So you're not taught this in school. You're taught that the Pilgrims came here, put smallpox on the blanket, and gave it to the Native Americans. So, like I said, I just wanted to speak out. But hey, this year, like I said, I was telling my brother yesterday, we was like, man, so crazy because everybody had like big plans coming into 2020, but everything's been put on hold. But I would just tell you, keep doing what you've been doing. Study yourself, study your ancestors, love your family, and I would say just get 10 steps ahead of the curve, man, because things will move on. Invest. And I would just say, you know, a lot of astrologers and astronomers were kind of predicting this, what we're going through today. So I just want to put my 2 cents in. If you got some comments or information you want to let me know about ancient African Moorish medicine, send a link below. I would like to touch on it. And if you can, study ancient African medicine, Moorish medicine, which is basically the same thing. Even when I was reading Leo Weiner, he had a book called Africa and Discovery of America, and he talks about how the Indian medicine man owes his gratitude to the African medicine man. Now you gotta know how to read language, because I just said earlier that Indian and Moor, Africa is all synonymous. So he's telling you that even the foundation of American medicine is African. You know, so like I say, you just like I said, his name Leo Weiner, Leo, last name Weiner. He has a book called Africa and the Discovery of America. And so and these some of these scholars keep talking about black people did just to America. Hell yeah. Because at one time the whole planet was one. And to me it's a sound of mental slavery. You could say humanity started in Africa millions of years ago, but you don't see black people being indigenous to America. I mean, what are you saying? Are you saying that black people just stay in Africa a million years? It's like, come on, man. Like, I'm not trying to say any names, but you're promoting mental slavery. I won't, was there a slave trade in Africa? Yes. But what we hear already? Yes. And you can say that because even ancient Egypt, these people got feathers in their head. They got the same feathers that you see these so-called Native Americans have. And don't even listen to anybody talking about, oh, look, here go these pictures of these light-skinned Native Americans. Because I'm going to tell you, go to the museum. And I will show you, I didn't show pictures already. I have the museums. You can write down Chicago Art Institute. The museums have these Native Americans with kinky hair, afros, and dark skin. So I'm Afrocentric, but I'm not Afrocentric to the point that I'm putting myself in a box for you to tell somebody, oh, we're only in Africa. You still like a goddamn mental slave. Black people, one of the most important things that they erased from your memory was you were master ship builders. The Phoenicians alone had the world's first, who were black people, had one of the world's first international trades. See, black people, they make the problem where they always want to make the known world what Europeans said the known world was. Europeans always say, oh, the known world was this. We discovered America in 1492. But with who knowledge? Our knowledge. Because we already had the boats. Even you read Columbus, all the Europeans said they came here, the people like Ethiopians. So for black people to come out and say, well, you just stealing people's heritage. Don't even listen to them. It's a hustle. It's a hustle. Because I go places, I don't even pay taxes. Because I have enforced my indigenous rights, my human rights. I can show you videos of guys don't even have licenses. Go to court. Beat the court case. Because they have enforced their indigenous rights. Because why? Africans are the first people on all continents. And so we never shame Africa. Now those who say they're not from Africa, they mental slaves too. I ain't gonna point no names out, but for you to say that, oh, we were just in America, you just worse than those who say we're just in Africa. Because one thing, the word more alone tell you that we was navigating the whole world. It was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Matter of fact, even when Columbus sailed, we helped sell Columbus ships, okay? So I know what I'm saying. I would have touched on that too. And like I said, I'm definitely working on these new music videos, and definitely trying to get some new videos out telling our story. I saw the man CJ Walker thing. It was pretty dope, but definitely a lot of backlash about the disrespect of Annie Torbo, the promoting the light skin, dark skin, unnecessary drama. Never really talking about the racism that she really dealt with. Only time they touched on was when the guy hung one of her workers' cousin, and they spent more time on the light skin, dark skin thing, or the character who wasn't even wasn't even light skin. Annie Torbo was a dark skin lady. So this decade, we definitely have to tell our story more. Gotta invest in media. Shout out to LeBron. I know he did his best, but somebody talked to him about investing in that movie where it could have created more damage in our community. If we didn't have the internet, it could have created a lot of damage. A lot of people thought that stuff was real. But other than that, shout out to Annie Torbo and Madam C.J. Walker for what they did for our community. The investment they made, fighting lynching. Thank both of those sisters who have a connection to Chicago. We love both of you all and everybody that also, and I think everybody who really tried their best in that movie. Like I said, Bill Bellamy, they all did a good job. But as far as storyline, please get it together, black people. And the lady who directed that, I believe she also directed the Harriet Tubman movie, which I liked. But at the same time, lady, quit putting all these fictional characters in. If they want to let you do it our way that need to be told for the future generation, come talk to us. We will find a way to get that money to make this story be told. Because even Malcolm X movie has to be made old because a lot of stuff wasn't even put in there about what really happened when he went to Africa. They make some like Malcolm X. It makes like he went to Africa and came back. Oh, white people are not bad. He never said that. He said, "I know that all white people are not the devil, and that even the people over there are not the same as the people over here." He said, "I'm still charging the United States with UN human rights violations." That doesn't like integration. So if we move forward, just study. More than study yourself. You know the history of the media and pushing what they want you to believe in. So I just say study, love yourself, man. Return to nature, my Netta rules, and just have fun doing this because things will change. Like I said, 2020 supposed to be 2020 vision, and I know we all had major plans, but you can see that they've been slowed a bit. But we're gonna end this decade. It's gonna be a memorable decade. Start off kind of slow because there's a lot of people who are dealing with the fact that they colonized the planet, and nature's responding. So, like I say, stay vigilant, stay loving, and talk to y'all soon. We winning, baby.